Welcome to another episode of the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. My name is Rob Murgatroyd, and each week on this podcast, I talk to some of the most fascinating people on the planet in all areas of life, from mindset to fitness to spirituality and, of course, business. Look, I believe you deserve success in all the areas of your life, not only business. But before we get into today's show, you may want to join us on our next Work Hard, Play Hard experience. This year, we're going to be going to Mykonos and Marrakesh. In these experiences, I have hand-selected a group of high-performing business people who are seeking more balance, connection, and they want to celebrate their wins as a reward for the hard work that they put in. If you want someone to curate once-in-a-lifetime experiences and force you to play more, rush over to workhardplayhardexperience.com. Fill out an application so we can jump on a discovery call to see if this is a good fit for you. And remember, excuses are over. It's time to live.
Now, I met some other girl, and now I'm just blown away by her. Like, I had this vision of what I wanted my next or future girl to be like, and she shares all of the qualities and more. And I'm just blown away by her. Like, I can't even believe that I found her. I'd never had the urge to wake up every day to do something until, being out of prison. It's a blessing to be able to experience life in a whole new aspect. And I hope that everything works out.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Work Hard, Play Hard show. Today on the show is Jorge Nava. Today's episode is a story that is straight out of Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. All right, so let me back up. One of the standard questions that I ask on this podcast is, what's your guilty pleasure? And the show 90 Day Fiancé is often mentioned as people's guilty pleasures. So I decided I'm going to watch this show. Everybody loves it. Let's give it a shot. So my wife and I became addicted to it. The show is about how people who fell in love with someone outside of the country and decided to file for a K-1 visa, which allows them to come to the U.S., but the catch is they have to get married in 90 days. That's all they give them. It's called a fiancé visa. They give them 90 days to get married, or the person gets deported back to their country. So the show is totally addictive. One of the guys that was on the show is my guest today. His name is Jorge Nava. And he met this girl from Russia who completely changed on him when she got to the States. So a little background on Jorge. Jorge was a grower of marijuana, where it's perfectly legal here in California, but was having trouble getting his crops to grow fast enough to meet the demands of his new fiance's financial needs. She kept saying, I want a bag, I want this, I want that. And he kept wanting to give it to her. So this podcast picks up with him deciding, because his crop was not growing fast enough, he decided to buy 393 pounds of marijuana from another legal state, except he had one risk that he had to take, which was to transport that marijuana through one state where it was not legal. That was where he screwed up. And guess what? He got pulled over, and they found 393 pounds of marijuana in Arizona where it wasn't legal. The reason why I had him on the show is the story is really, like I said, the hero's journey. It's a redemption story where he goes into jail and he's 125 pounds overweight. And one day he picks up a book in the library from Tony Robbins, which is Awaken the Giant Within. And he systematically decides to go through this journey of self-exploration. And while he's going through this journey, his wife leaves him. They got married. His wife leaves him. He finds out on social media. And so now here he is. He gets sentenced to, I think they originally gave him 4 years, but he wound up serving 2 years. And he lost 125 pounds in jail and found who he is at a much deeper level. So we go into all of the details of what that was like before it happened, when it happened, and now after it happens. He's just, I think, 3 weeks outside of prison. So it's an amazing story. There's a lot to learn. He's a young man who definitely made some mistakes. He's trying to find his way in the world. And I really think you're going to get a lot out of this. So give it a listen and let me know what you think. Jorge, welcome to the show.
What's up, Rob? How you doing?
I am doing really well. I'm super excited that you decided to do the interview because for me, you represent how someone who was faced with extreme circumstances and your ability to radically turn your entire life around. I mean, turn your mindset around, turn your physical body around. But I think in order to tell this story correctly and to put it into the proper context, we have to go back and tell the backstory. So if you're game, I think a good starting off point to begin with this would be the reality show. So for people who have not watched the show, it's a show on TLC, and it follows couples who have applied for a K-1 visa and have effectively 90 days to marry each other. So I guess the first question is, how did 90 Day Fiancé enter your life, and why did you decide to do it?
It happened by almost sort of like an accident. So when we were me and Anfisa were looking to get the K-1 visa, going way, way back, I was dating her for maybe about like a year before I even decided to like, hey, you know what? I know how to bring her to America. Let me not propose, but let me marry her,
Yeah.
So I figured it was going to be like an easier task for me to just go through all the paperwork, marry her, and bring her to America so that, we're not so far apart and we can kind of continue our relationship. Because everything was good at the beginning. It was crazy. It wasn't like how you've seen it on TV, but yeah, as soon as the whole camera thing started rolling, like, I don't know, everything changed about the whole relationship.
Well, okay, so let's back up just a little bit. So how did you guys meet? There's two pieces of conflicting information that I got. One was that she was something with a camera on the internet. She was like a web girl, and then the other version was you met on Facebook. And so what's the truth?
You know what? I can't really, that one's going to be sort of off limits. I'm going to kind of let the people decide, where that sits or where that stands at this current moment in time.
Yeah, I get it. So I think the answer is clear in everybody's head. So you can be the judge there, and you're going to take the high road and be a gentleman, and that's awesome. So okay, I got that part. So now, how did the cameras get involved? Did you guys sign up to do the show?
Yeah. So there was an email casting call on the website that we were using as a host for the K-1 visa. Like they do like they put your legal paperwork together. And in this website, there was a casting call, and she decides to reach out to them. If I remember correctly, she reached out to them, kind of told them a little bit, a bio of both of us, and they really liked the story. Next thing you know, they responded. We do a Skype interview. And then next thing you know, cameras are all set up. We have a contract signed that was just ridiculous, by the way. I mean, at first, this show, they were promising riches and fortunes, and it never came. And
so are you cool with talking about that? Because a lot of people that, either I've interviewed who have been on reality shows, or, other people that are trying to shop getting on reality shows, whatever you feel comfortable talking about is totally cool. But like, if you were to give somebody advice on, who's in that situation where they're like, well, I got this reality deal and I'm signing this contract and they're promising me, like, what kinds of things do they promise? And then what's the truth of what really happens?
Well, they sell it to you like it's the next Hollywood story. Like, we're new talent, so we're not well known and anything like that. And they sell it to you like, oh, you're going to have all these opportunities and you're going to be able to do this and do that after the fact. And you really can if you're smart with it. If you're basically able to take whatever negativity they monetize off of their show and turn it into something positive, then you're able to either use the publicity for your own advantage. But what happens is that they sign you up to a crazy exclusive contract that basically states that you're exclusively owned by them. Like any rights is all owned by them, and you can't do nothing without their consent. And it's just ridiculously crazy, dealing with these contracts. And then another thing too is like, as beginning talent to TV, they kind of tell you like, well, you're nobody right now. So like, you have no choice. Either you sign this or we'll move on to somebody else.
So if you wanted to come up with your own tequila and you wanted to call it the Jorge tequila and talk about it in the show, they're going to get a piece of that.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. So the days of like Bethany Frankel on, Real Housewives, creating a billion.
The thing is that I don't know how other networks write up their contracts, because everybody might have some different way of doing their contracts. But the one that I did definitely was terrible.
Okay. Got it. All right. So now you're doing the show. What is it like when, all of a sudden cameras show up in your house and they're following you around? Is there a bit of, in the beginning, is it weird, but then over time you start getting used to it and you don't even see them anymore? Or, what's that experience like?
At first it is a little weird. It kind of takes some time to getting used to it. But once the cameras start rolling, you kind of get a good vibe for, all the camera crew and stuff like that. Then, everything kind of tends to feel a little more comfortable.
Got it. So you just sort of get used to it after a while.
Yeah.
Did you watch yourself on television?
I did at first, and it was super weird. But then I only watched a little bit. I didn't try to watch too much because I just felt that every time we rewatched the show or something like that, like there would be some drama that would just leak into the real world. I don't know. It was weird.
Well, I bet. I mean, that with social media, everything's magnified now. So that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. When I was watching the show, here's what I saw. I saw an overweight guy who was being manipulated by a younger, pretty girl, my words, not yours, to buy her things like a $10,000 bag, etc. When you look back on that time period in your life, what was going through your head?
So this is what was happening in my head. I love this woman. When I first met her, we were going through, some pretty magnificent times. We were having a blast traveling all these places. I was buying her gifts and, like I didn't even question it. And I still had this same love for her. So when she came here and she started acting up and going all crazy on me, like I still was hoping that maybe this is just temporary. Maybe this is just because she's going through culture shock right now. Or, I was blind to all of the BS that was going on that I shouldn't have had to go through. But I was still hoping, I was hoping that it would just change one day, and it never changed.
Do you think that there's an element of, I don't know how to put this in any other way, but do you think there's an element of a setup where, I'm just going to get to America. Once I get to America, then this is like my job has been handled. Because you see that, with all the people on the show, looking back on it now, and you've had some time to think about it. Do you see it that way, or do you see it differently?
You know what? Now looking at it, I do see it that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. That makes sense to me. All right. So was there a particular moment in the relationship that broke the camel's back for you where you said, okay, no more, not another day, not another minute. I can't do this anymore. And if yes, what was that moment?
Actually, there wasn't until I went to prison.
Mm-hmm.
The moment that I found out that she was with somebody else, it just like faded into thin air. Like everything I felt for her. I was still trying to work through all of this stuff that I was going through and willing to get out and work on my relationship and hopeful that maybe my marriage would still continue to work, regardless of all of the stuff that we went through. And then that happened. I found out through the internet, and it was just devastating to me. I was so mad. And it put me into that mode of like you know what I mean? Like I didn't know how to react, because in prison, you don't have any type of power to do anything. Like you can't do absolutely nothing. You could get a phone call and that's it. But where's a phone call going to get me? You know, it's like, I can't sit there and talk to her face to face and tell her like, hey, why did you do this? What are you doing? What are you doing? And then now that I got out, I've heard a lot of rumors from people directly that know that this guy that she's with. Like, it's so crazy, so odd, bizarre. Like, I never even tried to kind of know the details. But yeah, I mean, it's like, whatever. I mean, it is what it is now.
How much of a connection or interaction did you guys have from the time that you went to jail?
Well, at first, we were talking like every day. And then it started to go less and less and less as time went on. So like the first maybe 6 months, we were talking like every day.
And was there a piece of you when it got less and less where you're like, something doesn't feel right here?
It actually didn't feel right from the very get-go, though. You know, like right. Something felt off and odd, and I'd bring it up to her attention, and she didn't. You know, she would just blow it off or like try to avoid the question, and then I just felt like something was wrong the whole time. But it was maybe just my gut feeling or just being in prison, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it was going on, and I just was blind to it again.
Yeah.
I've continued to be blind to it, but until I found out. Like, I looked through the internet, I found out, I called her because she had blocked me. So there was no way for me to even get through to her. So when she blocked me, one day I called and the phone happened to be on. And I talked to her on the phone really quick, and she's like, hey, I have to tell you something. I was like, no, you don't have to tell me anything. Absolutely nothing. Like, I just want to tell you good luck with your life. And that was the last phone call that we had.
And how long ago was that?
That was like probably coming up on a year now. Like, I don't know, like maybe like 10 months, 9 months or something.
Wow. All right. So let's set the context here for people. We're talking about jail. You were in the marijuana business, and I live in LA now, where it's perfectly legal. But I believe that where your offense happened was Arizona, where it's not. Can you walk me through what happened in early 2018 when you were arrested for 293 pounds of marijuana in your car? So
you want the story, like the little backstory of the whole get down, or?
Yeah, just for people that don't understand. It's very confusing, right? Because it's legal, and you were running it as a business. You weren't like a pusher on the streets.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't. I've been in the marijuana industry as a grower for a long time. And I mean, I don't know, people that understand the business and they know, if they're a grower or not, they know the get down of like how everything works and operates, what not to do. But everybody, I feel like eventually sometimes you get yourself in a pickle or you need money or something. And like, it's so easy to just break the law, I mean, I don't necessarily condone breaking the law or anything like that. I'm just saying that we all go through struggles and we all make dumb decisions sometimes.
Yeah.
And so what I was going through at the time, me and my ex-wife, we're going through troubles. My financial issue wasn't the best. I had basically tried to fix that by letting her keep all of the revenue that I was making from the reality TV show, just so that I can work and do what I need to do. And I put myself in a very bad situation by doing that. I even tried to get another job. I got a regular job at the time. It was crazy. I got a regular job. Anything that can just kind of pay the bills. The bills that I had were just like stacking up. And so I got a regular job and I worked there for a couple months. And I was just like, you know what? Like, I was still doing the growing thing, but then it just wasn't coming fast enough, to grow a crop from start to finish with nothing from the very beginning. It's going to take you 90 days. So at this time I was going through this rough patch, and I figured, hey, you know what? Well, I'm going through a rough patch. Well, what better would it be if I just make this little trip and make a little extra money. And that way I won't be in a rough patch for a while. I'll be able to come back and be on my feet. And maybe, hopefully, if I make a little extra more money, then I can put it towards our relationship and maybe things can get better. I don't know. I was trying to think about what would fix my relationship or what would fix my whole current situation beside my relationship, my financial situation. It just, at the time I was going through a very, very negative time. I was going through depression. I was going through, I was morbidly obese at the time. Not that really matters of anything, but I was going through so many things that I wasn't even thinking clearly.
So you make a trip and you go from California to Arizona. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, I wasn't going to Arizona, but I was passing by through Arizona. And when I first come into Arizona, I get pulled over.
Oh, okay. So you went to a different state, but got pulled over in Arizona.
Yeah. Well, I was going to a different state. Yeah. I was going to another legal state.
You going to another legal state?
Yes.
So that's interesting. So, okay, you went from one legal state to another legal state, but in between those was where you got pulled over was not a legal state. So, what was the reason why you got pulled over? Were they following you, or was it speeding?
So, no, I actually was driving perfectly. I had my car on cruise control. The reason that the police officer or the state trooper pulled me over because I had no reason to be pulled over, but he said that he heard me weaving, hitting the rumble strips.
Mm-hmm.
So this is on the dash cam. I actually have the footage on the dash cam. The officer pulls up to the window. He says, "Hey, pulled you over because I heard you weaving back there. Were you on your phone? Have you been drinking?" Asking the normal questions. I answered everything, to my best of my ability. I know my rights because I've been in this industry, been in, knowing what the proper procedure is if you get pulled over and, yada, yada, yada. Basically, he tells me "Oh, hey, I'm going to write you up a warning and you can go on your way." And I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm thinking all right, then I'm good. And so as soon as he's writing me up the warning, he tells me, he's like, "I have a reason to believe you're transporting marijuana. Get this, I have everything vacuum sealed. There's absolutely no smell in the car. It was properly sealed, properly packaged." And he just happened to run his dog and the dog hits.
What was the reason why he thought that you might have marijuana? Did the dog signal from his car?
Well, when he came up to the window, he looked in the car. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing crazy in the car, but it was an excess amount of luggage. So everything was in luggage bags. And I guess it kind of looks weird, but I don't know. I have it all on film. I was planning to release it in a little series that I'm currently working on right now for YouTube.
Yeah, when you get that released, make sure you send it to me so we can link it up in the show notes.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so but it was in the trunk, right? It wasn't in the back seat.
No, so the car that I had, it was a rental Expedition. Mm-hmm. And it was in the back. Yeah, it was in the back, cargo area.
Okay, so he's looking at the cargo. He sees all the luggage. He's putting two and two in his mind together. He takes a gamble. He says, "I think you might. I'm going to bring the dog out." And then, obviously, for him, it's a jackpot. He can't believe what's going on. What was going through your head?
Damn, I'm done.
In that moment, did you know what was about to go down?
No, but as soon as he popped the latch up and he opened the bag, I already knew. My stomach just
sunk,
and I was like, "Oh damn, I'm donezo right now." But I didn't resist arrest or nothing. I know the whole procedure. I went down to the station, didn't answer any questions, requested for my attorney to be present, and they booked me up, and I bailed out 2 days later.
What was the conversation like with Anfisa at the time when you told her what happened?
She's like, "I hope you get 12 years.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll fast forward to prison. You go into prison. For those people listening that have never been to prison,
what is prison life like?
Well, to sum it up, to make it, in a very easy perspective for people to kind of understand. I mean, if you're somebody that's just going to go into prison and do your time and not really be involved with anything else, it's nothing. It's very boring. You have to find something to do, keep yourself motivated, keep yourself busy. It's depressing. I mean, you have to get used to being told what to do by guards and stuff like that. Like, I don't know. I feel like it's crazy to be told what to do as a grown-ass adult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Is it when you see it on television where, there's people getting stabbed and there's rapes and, murders and, all those horrible prison things. Was it like that, or were you in a place that wasn't really that bad?
No. So there's levels of prison.
Okay.
There's maximum security prison where it's controlled movement at all times. That's called the level 5 yard. And then there's a level 4 yard where it's some sort of a little more freedom than that. And then there's a level 3 yard where it's like violent crime, a little bit of a kind of a little mixture of everything. And they're not as controlled. And then there's a level 2 yard where it's like DUIs and drug charges and stuff like that. I think that's it. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5 yards.
Okay. And which level were you in?
I was at the lowest level. I was at a 2 yard.
Okay. All right. So many of us go through times in our life where we lose hope. We feel depressed. We feel unmotivated. Some of us stay there, and others decide to set a new standard and change. And you decided to step into the world of Tony Robbins. Can you tell me more about that portion of your story?
So that was almost sort of an accident, really. I was in our library. So the prison where I was at, it was a working unit. So we have a little more privilege than anybody else. We have like a full-on library. We have a quiet room. We have a computer. I mean, no internet, of course, but we have a little more access to things than usual just because, we're there making the prison run. We got movies and popcorn machine and all these little extra perks. Well, anyways, it so happens that I find this Tony Robbins book in prison. It's called Awaken the Monster Within. Or
Awaken the Giant Within.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Awaken the Giant Within. Mm-hmm. I find this book and I start reading it and I'm just like, wow, this is bizarre. Like this guy, like I'm going through it and the stories in there is saying that, how people have gone through stuff and changed their life. And I was kind of inspired by it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to read this book as many times as I need to until I make a change. And at the time, that's when my wife had blocked me. I had already been in prison for a little while. So when I find this book, I'm just like, wow, I need to make a change ASAP. Mm-hmm. As I'm getting motivated more and more, going through this book. And I took it day by day. And I couldn't believe that, like, how fast the results came. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got to somewhere in the middle of the book. I was already, working on my diet because you can still add weight to yourself in prison. You could still eat bad in prison. You could still gain weight and get bigger. It was more of a discipline thing. More of after reading this book, I was able to discipline myself and drop the weight so fast. I was dropping up like 30 pounds a month. Probably 35, 40. I don't know. There would be some times where I would drop so fast that it wasn't even funny. And people around me are noticing these results and they're just like, what the heck? They're like, this is so bizarre, so crazy. And I had done a little bit of research about it before I went to prison. So I kind of like took whatever I knew as far as like dieting and stuff like that, like intermediate fasting. And then I had like family look some stuff up on the internet and just little tips here and there. And it was working so fast. Everything I was doing, the focus that I had to drop the weight, because I told myself, like, I have nothing else going on in prison right now. Like, what's going to help me? What am I going to do? What am I going to be able to do to get out and change my life? And so,
yeah, well, I mean, let's dig into that. So 125 pounds in total is what you lost while you're in prison. You and another inmate decided, hey, we're going to work out twice a day. we're going to do some military-based training once in the morning, 4:00 in the morning, second one in the afternoon. How does that work while you're in prison? Can you just go to the gym, or could you work out in I'm assuming you sleep in a cell? Is like, how does that work?
Yeah. So it comes back to the prison where I was at. It's very lenient with things. So usually at other prisons, they have full lockdown at certain hours and stuff like that. Where I was at, there was no lockdown at all. You could walk outside, you could do whatever you want, unless it was count time, which they would have count would clear within a couple minutes, and then you can go about your day and do whatever you want. So that being said, I started working out with my buddy. I don't know if he wants me to mention his name or anything like that, but because of his affiliation with things. But I started working out with my buddy, and he was pretty motivating towards, helping me kind of get past my situation, because people around me could notice that I was depressed. I was going through stuff, and people pay attention to that, especially if they're your friends or, they're kind of around you all the time. And so he kind of pulled me, under his wing, and we started working out, doing burpees in the morning. Then we would do jogging. Then we would do weights. And we don't have that many weights accessible to us, but we would do whatever we could. And then I combined that with dieting, which I feel like the dieting is the one that actually helped manage the weight loss faster than the workouts. The workouts is just good to kind of tighten up the loose skin and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting to me that there was a path, as I'm sort of looking at this whole thing from the outside, there was a clear path that you needed to go down in order to make a change. And for you, it seemed like, to get some things, knocked into your head, you had to, pay some pretty heavy prices, in order for you to, make the shifts that you've made. And, when I think about 125-pound weight loss at a time where, most people would figure, I'm either going to be, either not eating at all, or I'm going to be overeating because, you're dealing with a lot of emotional issues. You went all in and cleaned up your diet and went into burpees. And, it's remarkable. And I guess the next question is, you've been beaten up on social media a lot, for lots of different things. You've been praised as well. But now it's like you've got an army of women that are going crazy over the way that you look now. What does that feel like for you?
I want to put this in a good way, because I could see it going the wrong way if I say the wrong thing. Being in prison and being locked up, obviously being a man, you have a lot of, pent up emotions and trying to be with the women and talk to women and stuff like that. And I never had this type of attention like this from women in the past. I didn't do it to solely get attention for women. I did it for myself, to change my weight, to change my health, to change how I feel. And then as I got out, I started to get all this attention and stuff. And I kind of went along with it. I was, talking back to some of these girls and stuff like that. And then I caught myself, I'm like, you know what? I can't really do this. I didn't want to do it like that. I started talking to some girl that I was talking to when I was locked up. And I kind of just stopped replying. I didn't really have too much attention. I didn't want to be that guy, get out and, start messing around and, be looked at that one guy, oh, what an asshole. You were talking in prison and all this stuff. And I felt some sort of way toward this girl. And then now I met some other girl. And now I'm just blown away by her. I had this vision of what I wanted my next or future girl to be like. And she shares all of the qualities and more. And I'm just blown away by her. I can't even believe that I found her through all of this stuff. I have models messaging me and, girls telling me, hey, let's hang out. I'll take you out to dinner and this and that. And after I started talking to her as on a serious note, I've even been debating to kind of just get rid of all my social media and just live a life, a private life.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still debating it. I'm still kind of, I'm going to meet her tomorrow for the first time. And if it goes as how I feel, to do something like that, then I might just go that route.
This is exciting. Knowing what you know now, if hindsight were 2020 and you can kind of like back up and go all the way back to that moment where you were, considering doing the K-1 visa,
Mm-hmm.
you're a different person now, right? You think differently, you look differently, you've had different experiences. Would you have made different decisions if you could rewind the clock and just take a pass on it?
I mean, if I was a person that I am today, that
Mm-hmm.
probably would have never happened. Just because I have a clear mind of how I feel, of how I was thinking, I don't know. I'd like now going back at it and thinking about it is like, man, if I would have just invested all that money I spent going, showing off and all this other stuff, thinking about it is like, it was a very immature move.
Mm-hmm.
I portrayed myself to be, shown in a different aspect, having money, doing this fast life. But now that I think about it, it's like, what do I have to show for it now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. The ego is a funny thing, isn't it? Right? You want everybody
definitely
to see the cars and the flash and the glitz, and meanwhile inside. And that's why I asked that question, because a lot of people who listen to the show are entrepreneurs. Some of them are very, very successful. Some of them are just beginning. And, they have things on their vision board, like, the next Ferrari or the next, and they will make decisions based on pushing that envelope. And at the end of the day, that is never the thing that's going to bring the happiness. I mean, you're certainly a walking example, of that. So how long are you out of prison now? It's new, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been, I'm coming up on like 3 weeks or something like that. Let me check my calendar. I'm losing track of days just because my days are going so fast. I have so many things going on right now. It's crazy. I just feel like...
How does it feel to be out?
Oh, it feels amazing. Just being able to have the power to do something, to actually act on my thoughts is blowing my mind.
You have incredible gratitude, I'm sure. How does your body feel? Because you were, you're not a 6'5" guy. You had an extra 125 pounds on you. That's got to feel different. Forget the way you look, because you look amazing. But how does it feel when you wake up in the morning? You're probably moving better, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I'd never had the urge to wake up every day to do something until, being out of prison. It's like I wake up at, what is it like? Sometimes I wake up at 4 a.m. Sometimes I wake up at 5, just depending on the day or depending what I have going on. But usually I wake up early in the morning and I start working on something. Either if I'm working on editing for, my videos or my plan for the day or whatever I got going on. And then after I'm done with that, I'll go jogging. I'll go hiking. That's a priority, a daily priority, is to do something active so that maybe I don't put on this weight back on. Because I hear a lot of stories. A lot of people told me like that they've been in and out of prison, and when they get out, it's hard to keep up and maintain. But lately, it's been pretty good. I've been going on these hiking trails, and the area that I live in is beautiful.
Yeah, it's gorgeous there. Do you feel, because you made that transformation in prison, and now you're out into, you're the surroundings that you were heavier in? There's a lot of triggers, right? There's a lot of familiar things that you can slide into. Are there temptations now to go back to behaving the way you did in terms of diet and exercise? Or do you feel like there's been enough of a hardwire change in your body that you're just never going to go back that way?
No, I feel like there's a hardwire change for sure. Especially in that book, it talks about how to focus out of getting pleasure out of pain, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it
so
does.
Like basically anything that you associate as pain to now associate it as pleasure And that's how I feel. It's like anytime I think about going and eating junk food, I associate it to pain.
That's great. You've obviously never done, not obviously, but you've never done a Tony Robbins seminar, I'm assuming, yeah?
No, but I do look forward to maybe doing one day pretty soon.
Yeah, I've done 5 Unlimited Power weekends, and I've done 3 Date with Destinies with him. And all I can tell you is that if you think the book is good, spend 7 days with him. It's insane.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I do look up to this man as an inspiration. Definitely was able to do or have a great impact on my life, and I hope to maybe get the chance or an opportunity one day to say what's up and thank him for such a drastic change in my life.
For sure. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit. I'm going to ask you some questions that are sort of unrelated to what we've been talking about, but they're more about you as a person. Mm-hmm. What do people often get wrong about you?
I don't know. It's been kind of crazy. I've been kind of away from like the media and stuff like that for quite a little while. I'm barely kind of catching up, but the reactions that I've been getting, I mean, especially like on my Instagram and stuff, it's all been positive stuff. I haven't really got anything wrong.
Great. What's the one rule that you have for yourself that you'll never break?
I would say never hope for something to just fall in my lap and just act. I don't know, maybe like having the rule of action that I feel like I will never break now.
Got it. So it's not just going to show up in your life. You gotta work for it.
Yes.
What is an unusual or absurd thing that you love? Like, what's the thing where you're like, people may think this is weird, but I like it. If you could spend 1 month anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
If I could spend a month, I would say in Barcelona, Spain.
Really? Why?
I really feel at home there. I got to travel to Barcelona a lot with my ex-wife, and I got to spend about a month there actually. And or throughout Spain, but we were in Barcelona for a little while, and I really liked it. I enjoyed, the vibe of everybody. And I'm Spanish speaking. My grandparents are from Valencia, Spain, and I just feel that I don't know. I just felt like it was home.
Yeah, I'm working on booking a trip. I did Barcelona last year. I'm working on booking the trip to San Sebastian. I haven't done that one yet.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I love Spain. What would your friends say is one of your superpowers?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm kind-hearted and I'm always, willing to help, but I don't know if I would be a superpower.
That sounds like one. What is a guilty pleasure of yours?
Driving exotic cars.
I got it. All right, last question. We're going to switch things up a little bit. What one question would you like to ask me?
What do you think about me?
I think you are a really, really kind, soft-hearted guy that wants desperately to be in a meaningful relationship with somebody. And you are willing to overlook some inadequacies, insecurities, and maybe even be willing to not be treated well and look past it and try and do the best you can to have the relationship work. And, if I could take it a step further, I would say the universe said to you, no, you deserve better. You deserve to be living a life that's filled with meaning and purpose, and be in a relationship that has meaning and purpose, where you deeply respect and love each other. And I'm not going to let you continue this way. So we're going to fuck this whole shit up, and we're going to get you somebody that's amazing because you're not doing it yourself.
And you know what? It's so bizarre that I had this, like I was saying earlier, I had this vision of what I wanted from my next woman after all this other stuff happened. And she just showed up out of nowhere. And it was bizarre because it wasn't even like it didn't even start as a romantic conversation. It just happened. Mm-hmm. And now I'm just like, I can't wait to meet this girl. I hope that all of my reasoning for wanting to meet this girl is on point. I hope that, she's amazing as I feel that she is. And I look forward to the next relationship. I mean,
yeah, man, there's a path. You're on a path right now, and you have to, I think, allow this to just happen the way it happens, because this girl showed up in your life because you're different. You created a space, an energy to allow it to come in. You've evolved, you've grown. She's vibing that new person, and her vibe and your vibe are now connecting, and it's going to unfold exactly the way it's supposed to. So every single thing that has happened in your life has happened exactly for a reason and for a purpose, and I wouldn't change a damn thing. And I'm really, really excited for Jorge 2.0, because you got some great things that are coming down. This physical transformation is just the beginning. I got a really good feeling about you.
Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate, all these kind words that you're telling me right now. It definitely reinforces the way that I feel. It's just, it's a blessing to be able to experience life in a whole new aspect. And I hope that everything works out.
It's going to work out. Stay in gratitude. Yeah. Let's have an intention that it will work out. The mantra that I live by is everything is always working out for me.
I like that. I'm going to have to take that.
Yeah, everything's always working out for me. Well, dude, thank you so much. What is the best way for people to stay in touch with you? Do you have a website, or how was it Instagram, or what's the best way people to follow?
The best way right now, I think, is Instagram at Mr. Nava, at Mr. J Nava _ That's just the best way that I keep track of things and kind of keeping the people updated on what's going on in my current situation. But like I said, I don't know how things are going to go after tomorrow. I might just get rid of all my social media and just decide to live a private life.
Well, it's going to be interesting to watch you and see what happens. So keep us updated. Let us know what it looks like. We're going to link up everything in the show notes. When you get that, when you get those videos put together, we'll put that in there as well. And thank you again for taking the time to do this.
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much, Rob.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you love this episode and you know someone that needs some help in either stepping up their work hard game or their play hard game, it would mean the world to me if you shared this podcast with them to help me get this movement out there. So if you like what you heard, head on over to iTunes, take 30 seconds and leave me a 5-star review, and I will be forever grateful. So until the next episode, excuses are over. It's time to live.